Welcome to our viewers from Neepawa District and all across Canada. This is NACTV Reads the News, and today I am reading from the banner dated January the 6th in the new year of 2017. My name is Catherine Jasnek. Now last week we hadn't quite finished a few of the obituaries, so this week I'm going to start with them and get them all done because a lot of the paper is a recap, so some of you may have already know some of it. So we'll go with the obituaries that we missed last week, and then we'll go into the ones from this week. Lynn Nicol. It is with sadness that we announce the passing of Lynn Nicol in the comfort of her home in Riding Mountain on Tuesday, December 6, 2016, at the age of 69 years. Lynn was born in Winnipeg on March 26, 1947, to Elvin and Agnes Ackerman. Lynn was raised in Riding Mountain, and with the exception of a few years, she resided in Riding Mountain. Like her mother, Lynn was proud to call Riding Mountain home. She was active in her community, giving countless hours of her time volunteering for numerous clubs and committees, including the Riding Mountain Curling Club, Youth Club, and History Book Committee, to name a few. She was instrumental in starting the Ladies' Night Out in Riding Mountain, and over 10 years ran a successful and fun evening for ladies in town and surrounding communities. Whatever activity was happening in the community, Lynn was there, organizing, working, doing whatever was needed to help ensure the event was a success. Lynn was employed by the Royal Bank of Canada for many years and worked in a variety of branches, Erickson, Clear Lake, and lastly Neepawa, and she was respected by all her colleagues and clients. Upon her retirement from the bank, she worked as a secretary for Unger Construction. She enjoyed interacting with co-workers and the public and made many friends over the years. Lynn enjoyed being with and around people. Casino trips were a highlight for her, and she and the girls had many fun trips to Mahnomen, South Beach, and Carberry. She enjoyed many bonspiels curling with the girls over the years, and especially loved the trips to Pinawa to curl. She and Glenn loved music and dancing, sometimes traveling hours just to attend a good dance. She could have a good time and make a friend wherever she went. She looked forward to the Ackerman family reunions and attended each one since they began, even traveling to Terrace, BC. She was a wealth of knowledge on family history, and she will be deeply missed at future reunions. In short, Lynn enjoyed the opportunity for socializing, whether it was meeting friends for coffee, joining family at the Ashdown Stomperfest, visiting her sister and family in Pinawa, or attending community events. Lynn loved doing crafts and baking. Over the years, each family member has received some token of her knitting, crocheting, or sewing. She has made too many Christmas ornaments to count over the years and loved to decorate the house for the holidays. At Halloween, trick-or-treaters could count on her famous puffed wheat and Rice Krispie cake. She is predeceased by her parents, Alvin and Agnes Ackerman, her stepfather, Gerald Moore, and her husband's parents, Sam and Frances Nicol. She is survived by her husband, Glenn, daughter Colleen, Kent Warrington, and his children, Zach and Stephanie, and her daughter, Jewel. She is also survived by her brother, Earl Ackerman, and his family, wife, Shireen, son, Kevin, Tracy, and his daughter, Ashley, and her sister, Myrna Susky, and her family, husband, Richard, son, Scott, and his family, partner, Carly, children, Annika, Jill, and Madeline, and son Brett and his family, partner Letitia and her son Nico. She will be missed by numerous extended family members and friends. The family would like to thank the home care workers for the care and companionship they provided for Lynn, the community for their support during this difficult time, all those who helped set up the hall and arrange lunch for the funeral, Adele Murray for music, and White's Funeral Home for taking care of the arrangements. The funeral service was held Wednesday, December 14, in the Riding Mountain Legion Hall with Rita Friesen officiating. Pallbearers were Malcolm Hutton, Kevin Ackerman, Scott Susky, Brett Susky, and Zach Warrington. Interment will take place at a later date in Riding Mountain. Donations in Lynn's memory may be made to the Riding Mountain Curling Club or Riding Mountain Hall, as these were two causes that were very important to her. Arnold Henry Shetler. Arnold Henry Shetler was born on October 18, 1926, approximately half a mile west of where he lived on the day of his passing, in the Grass River District. He was the oldest child of William and Sophie Shetler. Dad was a big brother to sisters Violet, Helen, Ruth, and little brother Walter. Dad passed away on December 16, 2016. The Lord granted him his wish to pass away at home on the farm. Dad leaves behind his wife of 60 years, May, their sons Doug, Pam, Blaine, Sharon, and daughter Bonnie Soper. Grandchildren from oldest to youngest, Nathan, Nicole Shetler, Lois Shetler, Zachary Shetler, Alyssa, Tyson, Gunther, Cody, Sarah Shetler, Lyndon Soper, Melanie, and Caitlin Myron Enns. Great-granddaughters Aaron Shetler, Emma Shetler, and Sophie Shetler. Dad suffered many losses throughout his life, but was never so deeply hurt as when his grandson Lane Soper died at the age of 8 years old, and then sometime later when he lost his infant great-grandson Xavier Shetler. Dad felt so helpless as he watched his family go through the grief of these two sad events. Dad said he wanted so much to take the pain away. We know he would have done whatever he had to if there was anything that could possibly be done. Dad, as you carry on with your next journey in life, we thank you for the love, understanding, and guidance. Love your wife, children, grandchildren, great-grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and their families. Funeral service was held on Wednesday, December 21st at 1 p.m. at the Gladstone Christian Fellowship with Pastor Randy Fair officiating. Interment followed at the Tupper Cemetery. Kenneth Richard Chimarika. After a long, courageous battle with cancer, it is with heavy hearts that we announce the passing of Kenneth Richard Chimarika on December 10th, 2016, at the St. Boniface Hospital at the age of 52 years. Ken was born in Neepawa, Manitoba on September 28, 1964. He grew up on a farm outside Riding Mountain. He attended J.M. Young School in Eden until grade 9, and then went to Neepawa Area Collegiate for his high school years. Ken enrolled in a computer programming course at Herzog Career College in Winnipeg. After graduating in 1985, he held term positions at 3 Winnipeg companies. He then secured employment as a computer programmer for Nygaard International Limited, where he worked for almost 20 years, until due to failing health he could no longer work. Highlights of his employment with Nygaard included his 2 work trips with co-workers to Hong Kong. During his time at his childhood farm, he enjoyed many hours outdoor helping his dad, riding his bike, playing tag, as well as playing hide and seek with his siblings. When he knew it was a day to go fishing with his dad and brother, he was up at the crack of dawn, casting his fishing rod in the yard for practice. Ken loved the digital world and often spent his leisure time playing video games, searching the internet, and watching movies. He liked the challenge of fixing computer problems for his family and coworkers. Remaining to cherish Ken's memory are his parents, Richard and Marie, his brother Ron, partner Carolyn, his sisters Brent, Grant, and son Brandon, Elaine, Carol, daughter Amanda, and many aunts, uncles, and cousins. Ken is predeceased by his grandparents and several aunts, uncles, and cousins. The funeral service was held December 15th at St. John's Ukrainian Catholic Church in Neepawa with with Father Emil Kardasinek officiating. Interment followed at the Riverside Cemetery in Neepawa. White's funeral home was in charge of the arrangements. Ken will be sadly missed. Donations in his memory can be made to Cancer Care Manitoba. And those are the obituaries from December 30th paper that we didn't have time for last week. And just a note, on the last page, there's was a really nice picture of the volunteers and donors that were helping do the perishable and non-perishable groceries for the Salvation Army hampers, as well as representatives from the Neepawa Gladstone Co-op passing on their grocery bags that customers could purchase between $5 and $20 to the Salvation Army. And I think we'll carry on with the obituaries to make sure we get them all through for this week, January the 6th. Margaret Ann MacDonald Tompkins. Margaret Ann MacDonald passed away on December 8th, 2016 at the Carberry Hospital with her family by her side at the age of 91. Margaret was born on April 17, 1925 in Winnipeg, Manitoba. Margaret was predeceased by her husband Roy, her parents, and her baby brother. Margaret is survived by her 4 sons, Alan, Brenda, Howard, Val, Dawn, Marianne, and Colin, Karen. 11 grandchildren, 8 great-grandchildren, and her sister Mary, as well as numerous family members and friends. Margaret and her sister Mary lived with their grandma and grandpa, her Uncle Nig and Auntie Anne, as Margaret's mother passed away when she was 2. Later in years, Margaret attended a boarding school and then went on to business college and worked in Winnipeg until she met Roy. Margaret married Roy MacDonald on June 11, 1949 at the All Saints Church in Winnipeg. Margaret and Roy farmed in the Langley district until 1977, when they retired from farming and moved to Carberry. Margaret enjoyed being in Carberry, belonging to the IODE United Church and helping the local rummage sales. After Roy's passing in 1998, Margaret moved to the Marshall Manor and joined many friends and gatherings. Margaret moved to the Carberry Personal Care Home in March of 2016 until her passing. Margaret's granny taught her to knit when she was 11 years old. She knitted for the better part of 80 years. She knitted some napkins, many sweaters, socks, mitts, and smaller items. Last year, she knitted 90 pairs of knits. The majority of them were donated and enjoyed by many children and adults, and of course her family. Margaret's family meant the world to her. The visits from all her sons, daughters-in-law, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren were all very special to her. Funeral services were held on Tuesday, December 13, at 2 p.m. at the Carberry United Church. Interment followed at the Carberry Cemetery. Viola Louise Deere. Viola Louise Deere of Arden passed away December 1st, 2016 at Neepawa Hospital. Louise was born September 21st, 1938 in Selkirk, Manitoba, to parents Jack and Gladys Linklater. She grew up on the family farm in the Cloverdale district, where she attended school and church. Later, she attended Success Business College and then started working at Princess Auto in the office. In early January 1968, she attended a dance in Arden and met Bill, and the whirlwind romance began. On February 20, 1968, they were married. Louise traded her office job to become a farmer's wife and loving mother to Leah and Corwin. Together, Bill and Louise worked together on the family farm until Bill's health condition led him to retire from active farming. Bill and Louise continued to live on the farm. In July 2009, Bill passed away, leaving a huge hole in her heart. Louise continued to live on the farm for a few more years. In 2013, she decided to sell the farm and purchase a new modular home and move it into Arden. In October 2013, she moved into her new home and loved every minute of it. Louise also loved music and to cook. She had a very large collection of many varieties of music and cookbooks. She would always be more than willing to donate any food item asked for community functions. Many extended family and friends have tasted Louise's cooking. Some known favorites were her pies, tarts, Christmas dainties, and her dinner buns. Her love of music was also well known. She sang in her home church choir growing up. Louise also learned to play the piano and guitar by ear. She and her relatives would sing, play, and dance for hours on the weekends. She was predeceased by her husband Bill, sister Eleanor Summer, and brothers Raymond and Harold Linklater. She leaves to mourn her daughter Leah and son Corwin, Joanna, sister Sharon Russell, Mern, sister-in-law Phyllis Linklater, brother-in-law Elmer Summer, sister-in-law Gwen Tyerman, and numerous nieces, nephews, and cousins. Funeral service was held December 8 in the Arden Community Hall with Kristen Woodburk officiating. Interment followed in the Arden Cemetery. White's Funeral Home was in charge of arrangements. The family of Louise Deere would like to thank everyone for the kindness of food, flowers, cards, messages, and offers of help from friends and neighbors shown to us on the passing of Louise. To Kristen Woodburk for the lovely service and your comforting words and guidance during this most difficult time. To White's Funeral Home for your excellent services provided to us and to the Lansdowne Recreation Commission for the luncheon served. Thank you all. Catherine Hollid Kipling, Nee Ranke. With love and sadness in our hearts, we announce the passing of our dear mom in Edmonton, Alberta on December 13, 2016, with family by her side after a long and fulfilling life of 100 years and 45 days. Mom was born October 27, 1916, at Elk Ranch, Manitoba, to Mark and Frances Ranke. At the age of 2.5, Mom lost her own mother and was raised by her father with the help of her 10 siblings. She started working at age 14, housekeeping for a number of families in the Elk Ranch area, and later moved to Neepawa. In 1935, she married our dad, George Hollid, and together they raised 7 children. In 1967, Mom and Dad moved to Edmonton, where she worked, and then retired from Woodworth's Restaurant in 1981. She was predeceased by our dad, George, in 1977, son Reg Hollid, son-in-law Jim Bell, granddaughter Sherry Bell Kirk, and Fred Kipling in 1996. Mom's wish was to make it to 100, and that she did with a great birthday celebration in Neepawa, attended by 160 of her closest family and friends. Left to mourn are her sons Mel, Jane Hollid, Portage La Prairie, Kaz, Glenda Hollid, Warden, Manitoba, Bernard Hollid, Stony Plain, Alberta, Randy Hollid, Phoenix, Arizona, daughters Carol Bell and Brenda Campbell, Chuck, Stony Plain, Alberta, daughter-in-law Bonnie Hollid, Stony Plain, Alberta, 9 grandchildren, 18 great-grandchildren, and 1 great-great-grandson. She will be remembered as a great hostess and cook, always generously welcoming friends and family into her home. She enjoyed dancing at Calder Hall and tending to her garden and beautiful flowers in the summers. She also enjoyed baking and made sure everyone had their favorites, especially at Christmas. Mom taught us that hard work didn't hurt anyone and to make do with what you have. She taught us the importance of family and being there for one another. Her family was always her main priority. She was a strong woman who showed immeasurable strength until the end. Mom, you will be forever in our thoughts. A funeral mass and creation has taken place in Edmonton, and a gathering and interment of ashes will be held in Neepawa in May 2017. Stella Jean Gertson. Today I say goodbye to my lifelong friend, my wife, the mother of my children. After a long and courageous battle with cancer on December 26, 2016, Jean Gertson passed away at home on the farm. Jean was born on November 18, 1946, on the family farm and grew up in McCreary, Manitoba. She met and married John Gertson in 1967. They resided on the family farm in Gladstone, Manitoba. Together they had 3 children and 8 grandchildren: Chris, Anita, children Cassandra, Michael Bradley, Lisa, Dwayne, children Lowell, Shayna Morgan, and Ed Lindsay, children Ray and Annie. Jean's greatest interests in life included her great love of gardening, her greenhouse, a passion for horses, numerous family camping trips, too many to mention, and music. Jean also held a very special place in her heart for her ever-growing family and her happy hour girls. Jean was predeceased by her parents-in-law, brother Murray, sister Dorella, in-laws George, Helen, and Annie. Jean is survived by her husband of 49 years, John, her children and grandchildren, her brothers Gordon, Annette, twin Jim, Gloria, and Lauren, Christine, her sisters-in-law Mary, Rex, Margaret, brother-in-law Henry, Kay, and numerous nieces and nephews. Graveside service will be held at a later date. In lieu of flowers, donations may be made to Central Plains Cancer Care, Portage la Prairie. Ryan Joe Rehome. It is with great sadness that we announce the sudden and tragic passing of Ryan Rehome on December 17, 2016, as a result of a snowmobile accident. Ryan is survived by his mother Marcy, brother Tyler, Stephanie, niece Peyton, nephew Nathan, Gma Lorraine Farrar, Auntie Lori, Gordon, cousins Ashley, Scott Sawyer, and Sadie, Jimmy, Stacy, and James, Jennifer, Colin, and Addison. He is also survived by his father, Brent Rehome, along with numerous aunts, uncles, and cousins from the Rehome family. Ryan was predeceased by his grandpa Earl Farrar and grandparents Frank and Merle Rehome. Ryan was born in Calgary, Alberta on February 1st, 1991. He lived in Alberta for most of his life, completing his grade 12 education in Strathmore, Alberta. In the spring of 2016, he moved to Manitoba to pursue new opportunities and adventures. Ryan was known for his quick wit and great sense of humor. As the family handyman, he had a talent for carpentry, as well as fixing all things mechanical. He was always willing to lend a helping hand and could always be counted on. As tough as Ryan portrayed himself, he was a loving uncle and held a special place in his heart for Peyton, Nathan, James, Sawyer, Addison, and Sadie. The 2 big loves in his life were country music and Chevy trucks. A celebration of life is planned for Tuesday, January 17, 2017 at 1 p.m. at the Royal Canadian Legion located at Strathmore, Alberta. In lieu of flowers, a donation in Ryan's memory may be made to the Youth Club of Strathmore. Donations will go directly into supporting the outreach program that supports youth in the community in a variety of ways. And those are the obituaries. We have a photo here on the top right, and it's called Guides and Auxiliary Partner. On December 21st, Sparks, Brownies, Guides, and Pathfinders from Neepawa partnered with the Neepawa Health Auxiliary to assemble and distribute place cards at Country Meadows for their Christmas suppers. The auxiliary members printed and cut the cards, while members of the Neepawa Guiding Unit assembled them. The 2 groups joined together to put the cards at each place setting. Rivers policeman makes a miracle. A Minnedosa woman was the subject of a small-town miracle on Christmas Day. Nancy McLennan returned from a West Coast vacation and was met with a typical Manitoba storm, which closed roads and altered many traveling plans among families throughout Westman. When she deboarded the train in Rivers, she was dismayed to discover her vehicle would not start. Her car's battery had run out of juice after too many days of being parked at the station during the successive cold snap. Rivers Police Service received an anonymous call, so the man on duty did what he could to help. Constable Max Shushba has volunteered in Rivers as an auxiliary member for 2 years, but last June he graduated and has been officially employed for 6 months. The junior officer was working December 25th when the call was made. It was approximately 10:30 p.m., and after he successfully boosted her car, Max went beyond the average call of duty. McLennan was not expecting a blizzard. The Trans-Canada was already closed, and north-south roads were covered with drifts. I was nervous about driving. I don't think I played the little old lady card. As she watched and waited for her vehicle to start, her fears about the 55-kilometer northeast drive home became heightened. Sensing her anxiety, Max said he would drive her home. He just made the call. He said, "I'll drive you home," and I was blown away. He's a super guy, drove me right to my door. It was a nice drive, a perfect Christmas night, she says, adding that they only met 2 vehicles. We talked all the way about Montreal Jazz Festival and how great that is, and about sailing. We both enjoy that as a hobby. He really kept me distracted from the conditions. I was really grateful. Max is currently enjoying a holiday and will not be back to work until January 9. Comments from him are unavailable, but Police Chief Bruce Clausen commends him. It was the right thing to do. This is one of those situations where the officer felt it was worthy of going above and beyond, and he did. I was proud of his actions. This story gained attention on Twitter from Green Party leader Elizabeth May, who was on the same train and expressed worry about Nancy getting off the train at night in a blizzard. She emailed me afterward and made sure I was okay, says Nancy, who adds that Elizabeth then tweeted her praise for the Rivers police force. She also has a message for Max. Thank you for putting humanity first and helping me and making a logical decision. It's a Christmas I will remember for years to come. Bruce says driving someone that far isn't something officers here would normally do, but he agrees Max made the right choice, and he believes any member working that night would have done the same. I can say this with 100% degree of confidence. There isn't one of the officers under my direction right now that would not have done that. It's a good lesson for a young officer on how something so immaterial can become something significant. While this simple gesture was an act of small-town kindness, Nancy can claim it as her Christmas miracle. Now then. We have a couple of pictures up on the top left corner. The Neepawa Legion honors Pittman. On Friday, December 16, Neepawa Royal Canadian Legion Branch number 23, President Brent Hunter presented Cecil Pittman with a certificate of appreciation. The honor was for Pittman's continued support of the Legion by decorating the hall during Remembrance Day. On top of that, Pittman also helps to decorate several local businesses and the town office during the holiday season. And it really is quite amazing what he does. And we have a picture of them cleaning up the streets. Front-end loaders were out in full force earlier this week, clearing away the massive amount of snow that hit Neepawa over the holiday season. And here's a picture of a couple of loaders piling snow for clearing from the corner of Mill Street and First Avenue. And there certainly was a lot of it, too. The Spruce Plains RCMP report. On December 16, 2016, police observed a vehicle departing the Vivian Bar. A traffic stop was conducted to check for driver's sobriety. 2 occupants were located in the vehicle, and the driver displayed possible signs of impairment. The male driver was demanded to provide a sample of breath into a roadside screening device, which he failed. As a result, the driver was arrested for impaired operation of motor vehicle. Once back at the Neepawa detachment, the male provided 2 samples of breath with results of 130 and 120 milligrams of alcohol in 100 milliliters of blood. As a result, Peter McIver of Sandy Bay has been charged with impaired operation of a motor vehicle. On December 21st, 2016, Minnedosa RCMP responded to a motor vehicle collision in Minnedosa. It was reported that a male driving a snowmobile had crashed into a tree on Beach Road in Minnedosa. The male was taken to Minnedosa Hospital and then taken to Health Science Center in Winnipeg via STARS Air Ambulance, as injuries sustained were serious. As a result of his injuries, the male passed away a couple of days later. During police investigation, it was determined that alcohol was a contributing factor in the collision. The name of the deceased is not being released at this time. On December 21st, 2016, Minnedosa RCMP were called to the Minnedosa Liquor Mart as an unknown male had stolen a bottle of vodka from the store. The identity of the male is not known, and a photo was provided of the male. Anyone with information as to the identity of the male from the photo is asked to contact Constable Reed of Minnedosa RCMP. On December 23rd, 2016, at approximately 12:30 p.m., Neepawa RCMP were contacted regarding a vehicle in the McDonald's parking lot driving erratically. As police attended, a vehicle matching its description was seen traveling north on 5th Avenue. Police located the vehicle on Commerce Street, pulling into a driveway. The driver of the vehicle demonstrated possible signs of impairment and provided a sample of breath into a roadside screening device, which he failed. The male was brought back to the Neepawa detachment and provided 2 samples of breath. Both samples were 140 milligrams of alcohol and 100 milliliters of blood. As a result, Ian Robertson of Neepawa has been charged with impaired operation of motor vehicle. The speeder of the month was caught by Constable Andrew Cowan of the Neepawa RCMP. Scott Andrews of Saskatoon was traveling at 132 kilometers per hour in a posted 100 kilometer per hour zone. Fine amount of $469.25. Spruce Plains RCMP responded to 224 calls for service in the month of December. As for the year, Spruce Plains RCMP responded to 3,280 calls for service. New heights coming to Gladstone. On December 19, the hottest free agent in professional wrestling will be making a stop in Gladstone as part of his first ever Canadian tour. Austin-based wrestler ACH will be joining Canadian Wrestling Elite's New Heights Tour, which includes 12 events in 12 days from January the 10th to the 21st. This tour is being headlined by ACH, whose athletics have earned him the nickname the Human Highlight Reel. As of January 1st, he finished his contractual duties with Ring of Honor, the second biggest company in North America. This Canadian tour will mark his first appearances as a free agent. Another highlight will be the Canadian wrestling debut of Japanese wrestling star Shigehiro Iri, who wrestles for the internationally known Japanese-based DDT promotion. Wrestlers hailing from Manitoba, Ontario, Saskatchewan, Alberta, North Dakota, Wisconsin, Missouri, Illinois, Maryland, West Virginia, Texas, and Japan are all taking part. Manitoba will be represented by the Rebel, Bobby Collins, who is from Plumas, and Winnipeg-based Danny Warren. Warren is also the tour organizer. Warren explains every major country in the world has a national wrestling company, distinct and represented domestically with homegrown stars and a full touring schedule, except Canada. But that is quickly changing as Canadian Wrestling's Elite continues its massive expansion across the country. with the addition of new markets to the touring schedule. CWE's growth is part of an ongoing trend. Professional wrestling is the hottest it has ever been in Manitoba and Western Canada, which has allowed us, being a Winnipeg-based organization, the opportunity to go on the road and be the only company in North America outside of WWE to have a full touring schedule, he added. The tours are important, not just for the fans, explains Warren. These tours are very important to the growth and development of our talent and our brand, because as they say, practice makes perfect. The New Heights Tour will touch down in Gladstone January 19th at the Gladstone Community Center. VIP priority access will start at 5:30 p.m. General admission doors will open at 6 p.m. and the bell will ring at 6:30 p.m. Tickets can be purchased in advance at the Gladstone Hotel Restaurant or online. And Rita Friesen's column, Home Bodies. It's been a week of long naps in the big chair. I don't know exactly how it happens. The plan is to sit a bit, watch some television, and then get on with the day. Before I know it, a dog is snuggled on my lap, the mug of hot chocolate is empty, and the sound of the show is fuzzy and dim. I come to with my lips stuck to my top teeth, my snoring jarring me awake. Has not bothered my lap warmer. He simply squirms as I stretch and debate getting up. Time has slipped away, and I am okay. It's been a week of several shorter, quicker walks. The lower temperatures, extreme cold, is a deterrent to slow meanders. When my little four-footed friends are trying to navigate on 3, it's time to head home. Henry Hoover requires a fairly lengthy walk before attaining the comfort level needed for a full night's sleep. It used to be 3 laps around the teardrop on the acreage, and now it varies between once around the long block or to the stop sign and back. Can't rush them, and so we walk. Our pace quickens if the rabbits are out or the deer has passed by. A firm grip on the leash at all times. May need ice picks to prevent myself doing serious injury as I hurtle on the slippery streets. It's been a week of reading, old favorites, the Anne series, the For Better and For Worse collection, mixed with new authors. I appreciate the library and the wide selection of books available. Read several books by Nicholas Sparks and more by Cynthia Victor. Books beside the big chair, beside the bed, and of course a Reader's Digest in the bathroom. It's been a week of procrastinating. Several projects are ready to go. There is one wall in the spare room that I want to paint. It is wallboard, needs an oil-based undercoat. I have the paints at home, the brushes, the rollers, the tape, everything, but to get up and go to get it done. I want it done. There is a lap throw featuring Ed's ties that is half begun. The ties have been laundered, opened, and pressed. The instructions have been gathered from the internet. The fabric on which the ties will be appliqued at hand. I see the finished project clearly in my mind, but am reluctant to actually begin. There is a nightstand that wants to be refinished. I have the stripper, the sander, the stain, and the polyurethane. I lack the motivation. It's been a week of reconnecting with family and friends. Long phone calls, lunches, and coffees. I've spoken to my sisters, my encouragers, and my supporters, and loved ones near and far. If this first week of 2017 is any indication of how the rest of the year will unfold, I'm good with that. And then it always makes you think with her column. Connecting Canadians. The My Perspective column written by editor Kate Jackman Atkinson. Rural Canadians got some good news just before Christmas. Better broadband coverage is coming. On December 21st, the Canadian Radio, Television and Telecommunications Commission, CRTC, announced that broadband internet is now considered a basic service. The move puts high-speed internet into the same category as landline telephones. The change came following a year and a half of public consultations and resulted in new targets for service under subsection 46.51 of the Telecommunications Act. The new targets apply to both fixed and mobile broadband services. For fixed broadband services, the target is access to an unlimited data option as well as minimum speeds of 50 megabytes per second for download and 10 megabytes per second for upload. For mobile broadband services, the target is access to the latest mobile wireless technology, not only in homes and businesses, but also along major Canadian transportation corridors. The CRTC estimates that about 82% of Canadian households and businesses already receive the level of broadband service targeted. They want that number increased to 90% by 2021 and to 100% within 10 to 15 years. For those who live in towns and cities, this might not seem like a big deal, but the reality is that even within our coverage area, there are people who don't have access to this level of service. For many rural Canadians, poor or non-existent access to high-speed internet is a reality. Broadband internet has permeated our lives so much that we often forget just how reliant upon it we are. For many rural Canadians, their homes are their places of business, and conducting business without broadband internet is almost impossible. High-speed internet gives farmers and other business owners access to pricing information, market research, and the ability to connect with a wide range of customers and suppliers around the world. The internet has become indispensable for conducting research, education, business, or personal planning. Access to data services are also extremely important to the disabled, especially the hearing impaired. Those who don't have access to CRTC's newly mandated level of service live in rural or remote communities, places where having access to the greater world becomes much more important. The ability to work or learn remotely or access expert advice from larger centers becomes infinitely more important when these resources aren't available in person nearby. The necessary infrastructure updates will be partially funded by a new $750 million fund. This money can be accessed over the next 5 years by internet service providers who are undertaking projects to build or upgrade infrastructure in underserved areas. The fund, which is similar to one established to support landline infrastructure, is funded by providers. Earlier in December, the federal government announced another program in which it would be investing up to $500 million to bring high-speed broadband internet access to 300 rural and remote communities by 2021. Expanding mobile service is also big news for rural Manitobans. Poor service isn't just an issue in many rural areas. There are also sections of the Highway 1 in Manitoba that, last time I checked, had no service. Improved coverage will offer a real opportunity for improvement in safety and security for rural Canadians. At a time when many people are moving away from traditional landlines, I'm glad to see that the CRTC has recognized that today the telephone isn't the form of communication most Canadians rely upon to reach the outside world and conduct business. The new targets don't set a minimum price, as the CRTC has done with cable packages, but it's a start. The reality is that for many rural Canadians, just having access is something to be celebrated. And that is just so true. Real food movement takes root locally. There is a particular irony that when local eateries and bistros talk about migrating back to a method of food preparation as nature intended, that the story can't take place without visiting Eden. Only we're not talking about the Garden of Eden in this instance. Instead, the efforts of Avion Harvest, which is based in the community just a few minutes north of Neepawa. Avion Harvest opened its doors earlier this year when Eden resident Tim Weed received a call from a colleague in the starch industry in Carberry, identifying that a former yellow pea producer was looking to get out of the production business and had some equipment for sale. After some preliminary negotiations on the purchase, Wiebe says that the seller unfortunately passed away before there could be any formal succession of the business, leaving Wiebe and his business partner, Louis Pohl, to start from scratch, both in sourcing the raw ingredients as well as marketing their finished product. Pohl, who came into the venture from the financial services realm, saw the potential for the business and came in as a partner, officially taking the title of marketing manager for the company. Both Wiebe and Pohl looked at the timing of coming into the industry in 2016, because that was recognized as the International Year of Pulses, and this would be advantageous as the company was incorporated in March. We've certainly had a great deal of help from the industry and related agencies, said Pohl. We have reached out to MAFRD, now Growth, Enterprise and Trade, Entrepreneurship Manitoba, and Maryland Crew at the town of Neepawa, and they have all offered lots of advice that has been helpful for us to get things rolling. With a grassroots marketing strategy, Wiebe and Pohl hit the road with their product in hand to market their wares to various grocery chains and restaurateurs. Now expanded from simply yellow peas to a line of 7 products, including lentils, flax, pot barley, pinto beans, and white beans, they have seen an encouraging response from retailers. In their first 8 months of operation, they have their product in 27 stores across the province, including Co-op Marketplace, Save On Foods, and a few Bigway locations around the region. Their goal is to expand their market radius even wider into the neighboring provinces. This past October, Wiebe scored a big win for his fledgling enterprise as a featured competitor in the What's the Big Idea entrepreneurship event held in Neepawa, securing awards in 3 categories and reaping $4,300 of the $6,900 in prize money issued that afternoon. The partners have an eye on growth with their prize win, specifically looking at the process to become industry certified in their production methods and food security practices. The HAASP certification opens the door to opportunities for international export. Other elements of future growth could present opportunities to work with local producers. We would be interested in establishing a relationship with local producers, says Wiebe. The most important factor in that is ensuring a consistent quality and quantity of the raw product to allow us to fulfill our obligations. Aside from expanding their product line, other innovations that they have started to implement as part of their business growth is a migration from the traditional packaging, which might lay on a cupboard shelf, to a standing resealable pouch, which offers more convenience and a greater shelf life for the customers who have the products at hand in their own kitchens. For now, they continue to spread the word about Avion Harvest organically, placing cold calls to retailers, setting up shop in grocery stores to demonstrate and sample their wares, and drawing attention to their website for more details and healthy recipes that food-conscious consumers can create with their natural ingredients. What we are seeing more and more is that people are becoming more aware of what it is that they are eating, says Pohl. People want to reduce the amount of processed and refined foods in their diet and consume healthy, natural alternatives. The trend has started to gain momentum in western Manitoba, with a number of bistros, including Boys of Ames Sawmill, Souris's Woodfire Deli, and Mendoza's Corner Store Grill, adopting a mantra of real food, the way it was intended, as part of their staple menus. In addition, culinary tourism is also gaining popularity, and this year a guide entitled From Scratch was produced jointly with a number of regional tourism associations in Manitoba to highlight dining experiences that offer this type of non-processed fare for their patrons. For more information on Avion Harvest and where you can get your hands on their product line, you can visit their website at www.avionharvest.com or find them on Facebook. It's always nice to hear of entrepreneurs making it in the big time, and I wish them all the best. Westlake offers wide range of services to job seekers and employers. It is now just over a year since Westlake Employment Skills and Services has relocated to their present site at 41 Main Street West in Neepawa. They offer a wide range of services for prospective employees and employers, in addition to assistance with training and self-employment information. The local job board postings are forwarded to the local RM offices and also listed on NACTV, which is broadcast on Bell TV. Westlake Employment offers community members to stop by and meet with the staff and view the available services. Office hours are 8:30 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 4:30 p.m. Tuesday to Friday. A Service Canada representative is available every Tuesday in the office on a first-come basis from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. and 1 p.m. to 3 p.m. to assist local residents. Over this last year, they have had 6,175 contacts with the residents from the town of Neepawa and the RMs of North Cypress Langford, Rosedale, Glenella Lansdowne, and Westlake Gladstone. With an average of 515 contacts per month, that is a lot of people coming through Westlake's door to look for the services provided. As Neepawa area is a growing community, Westlake looks forward to providing assistance to those looking for employment opportunities. Westlake remains an employment service funded through the governments of Manitoba and Canada to promote jobs and the economy in Neepawa and area. The office is staffed by 2 employees and is supported by a volunteer governing board of directors drawn from the community. Westlake's annual general meeting is upcoming on January 11th at 7 p.m. at their office, and they extend an invitation to all those who are interested to attend. And we also have a notice here that Stuart Breese, who was the MLA for Agassiz for a number of years and retired before the last election, they're having a kind of a retirement get-together for him. Everybody is welcome, and that will be on Monday, January 16th at 2:30 p.m. at the Neepawa Legion Hall. Brian Pallister will most likely be there. There will be refreshments and hors d'oeuvres served. We have some really neat little photos up to the left here. Prior to December 23rd, Luca Cohan had never seen snow. Imagine his delight when he got to ride a borrowed miniature snowmobile. The 6-year-old from Los Angeles was on vacation with his family at the Elkhorn restaurant up at Riding Mountain Park. He was pretty happy. And a pair of cross-country skiers hit the trails in Clear Lake, which they're always nicely groomed. And on the bottom right, Renee Daigle from Onanol is building an ice bar, which will be in use at the Lake House's New Year's Eve party in Wasagaming. Renee prepared the bar out of ice and snow and provided the wooden framing to which he is attaching spruce boughs. And hopefully it won't be just horribly cold that night. Neepawa natives tame the stampeders. The Christmas break appears to have invigorated the Neepawa natives as the team closed out 2016 with their best on-ice performance of the season. Led by a 4-point effort from 20-year-old Reagan Buchanan, 2 goals, 2 assists, Neepawa topped the Swan Valley Stampeders on December 30 by the score of 6-2. Affiliate player Mackenzie Belinsky added a pair of assists in his first game of the year in a native's uniform. The game, played at the Yellowhead Center, saw Neepawa get off to a tremendous start, outshooting the Stamps in the first period by a 19-8 margin. On top of that, they put 3 goals past goaltender Connor Slip in the first 20 minutes. Brad Marshall opened things up just 7-10 into the first. Zach Johnson followed that up with his 4th goal of the year at the midway point of the period. Swan replied with one of its own shortly after the Johnson marker, but Justin Metcalf reclaimed the 2-goal advantage before the end of the first. This was Metcalf's 22nd goal and 33rd point of the season. In the second, Swan Valley caught Neepawa a bit flat-footed as the Stamps put one past Tyler Gutenberg just 18 seconds into play. Fortunately, Neepawa was able to quickly shake that off and score just 1 minute 15 seconds later as Reagan Buchanan secured his first of the night. A few minutes later, Buchanan had another chance as he was given a penalty shot. He took full advantage of the opportunity with his 2nd goal of the period. That provided the home side a solid 3-goal cushion heading into the final period. A power play goal in the third by Ashton Anderson would be the final goal of the evening and provided Neepawa with a solid 6-2 victory. This regulation win was an important one in the standings as Neepawa, 10-22-2, 22 points, attempts to chase down Swan Valley, 13-19-3, 29 points, for the final playoff spot in the Manitoba Junior Hockey League standings. After the game, Neepawa coach Dustin Howden complimented his roster for putting in such a strong effort after the extended Christmas break. We've been pushing hard all year, and sometimes just a break can refresh the body and the mind. The guys really came back after the break really positive. We had 4 practices before the December 30 game, and they were really good. Sometimes just a break between games is needed to get away from things. Kudos to our guys. They came back in shape and focused, said Howden. Neepawa's power play went 1 for 5 on the night, while their penalty kill proved to be extremely effective, limiting the Stampeders' chances with the man advantage. Howden said the team kept Swan River from putting together any type of momentum on the power play, which was a huge confidence builder as the game progressed. We got a power play goal tonight while also limiting Swan Valley to very few opportunities themselves on the power play, Howden added. Swan Valley had very few chances with the extra man, and the opportunities they did create they couldn't capitalize on. That's because our defense was able to clear out the front of the net, allowing Tyler Gutenberg a clear view of any shots sent his way. The forwards as well back-checked and did their part in their own zone. It was a complete game from everyone. Howden closed out the night, commending forwards Reagan Buchanan and Mackenzie Belinsky. Reagan Buchanan had an outstanding game. As a 20-year-old, he really wants to lead by example for these guys. No better way to do that than on the scoreboard, Howden said. Mackenzie had a good game out there as well. He's a good hockey player, smooth, smart out there on the ice. He had a couple of points out there and almost had a couple of goals well. He had some good plays out there. Just in general, the APs we've had play for us this year, they've been outstanding for us. Neepawa will hope to keep that momentum going on Friday, January 6th, when they travel to Selkirk to take on the Steelers. The Tiger Hills Hockey League recap. The Neepawa Farmers closed out 2016 with a big 5-1 win over the Minnedosa Bombers. The victory was Neepawa's 6th straight and moved the team into a tie for first place with the Carberry Plainsmen in the Tiger Hills Hockey League's Eastern Division. Ward Zuki, Cam Tippett, Matt Lowry, Kyle McDonald, and Devin Speece all contributed goals in Neepawa's win. Minnedosa's leading scorer, Matt Saylor, 15 goals, 10 assists, plotted the lone goal of the game for the home side. And another one, Carberry won over Pilot Mound, 15-3. Gladstone ended 2016 with a road loss to Boissevain Border Kings. And Box Neepawa, which is a sports club in Neepawa, has a special coming up for youth, and they have a special boxing, kickboxing, grappling, fitness, just to get you fit, not to get you injured, but just to get you fit. And I think we've pretty well done that. We didn't cover the highlights over the year, but I think over the year we have talked about them. So thank you very much for listening. We'll see you again next week, and all the best in 2017.